It was another great performance for Penn State wrestling tonight. They took out the Iowa Hawkeyes. It's the most anticipated dual meet of the year every single year. They went to Carver Hawkeye, and Penn State showed up and they delivered. They won 8 out of the 10 matches. The final score was 29-6, and there were, a sports book had a line out throughout the week, and it got as high as 21.5. That was the highest that I saw it at, and they were able to even cover that, winning by 23. So really lopsided performance for Penn State. They picked up a few really big wins. The biggest one probably at 141 pounds where Real Woods fell to Bo Bartlett 7-2. And Real, to be honest, did not look great to me. Was not moving particularly well, and Bo capitalized on that to full effect. And he got a hard double leg early, and from that point on, Real was never really close to scoring. He could not get the legs, had a hard time generating anything from the top position, and Bo added a late takedown to win 7-2. But not really a competitive match, truthfully, because Real did not put himself in any positions to score. A big upset for Iowa came in at 149 pounds. I say big. It was Caleb Ratchey over Tyler Kasek. Those two are ranked pretty close together. But I think the perception coming in was that Kasek was a decided favorite here. And it was a back and forth match where you saw Ratchey start off. He had 2 takedowns to none advantage. And then the table seemed to flip completely. And it's Kasek gets 1 takedown, then he gets another. He gets the ride out for overtime. And you're like, okay, Ratchey spent. Well, Ratchey gets the beautiful post high crotch finish to win in overtime, and it was a big win for him. And you know, he can continue to climb the rungs at a weight where it's got a pretty clear top tier, but beyond that, it's pretty wide open. So they could have an All-American contender here out of Caleb Ratchey. But man, Penn State had 2 other extremely impressive performances, and they were at 57-65. Levi Haynes, I think he won by major decision. I think it was a 12-0 final against Jared Franek. And as great as Levi looked, I actually thought Franek had some nice moments here. He had some really nice leg attacks. I think he got in really deep on solid attacks 3 times. And not only did he not score them, the majority of the time, Levi was able to counter score. Just a really impressive performance from neutral. Levi got on the board early with a takedown. He rode for a long time. Just overall, really strong showing for Levi. And then at 65, this was probably the most anticipated match. And it wasn't much of a match. Mitchell Messenbrink was all over Michael Caliendo the entire time, start to finish. And we kind of knew that would be the case, that Mitchell would be assertive and aggressive and attacking a lot. But we thought that, hey, this is his biggest test. And I think still Caliendo is probably the toughest guy Mitchell's faced this year. But it wasn't particularly competitive. The 12-6 final is a little misleading. It was a late takedown for Caliendo, preventing the major decision from happening. But otherwise, Mitchell continues to pass every test, and he's not having many close matches, guys. His attack rate is so high. Caliendo was able to get in a few times, and Mitchell was able to defend. Caliendo threw some counters at him, and Mitchell was still able to score. He just looks really good. Tough from the top position as well. He's a complete package. And now, for me, all the questions are around David Carr, Keegan O'Toole. Where does Mitchell Messenbrink fit there? Because it's just this level of separation against these kind of good guys is really, really impressive. For Iowa at 125, the duel started well. Drake Ayala got the win over Braden Davis. Davis was undefeated, and really, if he wins this, he might go to number 1 in the country. But Drake got an early pass-by takedown, and that was all he needed, and that's all really he worked to get. And Braden Davis was unable to really generate much offense against Drake. I thought Drake was able to wrestle pretty defensively, honestly, late. He hung out on a knee a lot, and he wrestled it really smart at the end of the match and didn't give Braden many opportunities to score. So he got that win. Aaron Nagao almost pinned, maybe, depending on who you ask, did pin Colin Shriver, but he put him on his back late. But it was an 8-0 final for Nagao. He looked really great. Bernie Truax was dominant against Aiden Riggins. He had a major decision there. 74 was interesting because Starachi versus Kennedy, he comes out really strong. He gets 2 takedowns in the first period. You're like, all right, this could be on its way to a tech. And for the second week in a row, Carter Starachi's getting called for stalling in the 3rd period. Now, he's so much better than his competition that it hasn't mattered, right? That it seems like he's fading or at least struggling to score in the third period. But I'd say it's notable because it's not something we've seen typically throughout Carter's career. Normally he's start to finish, great tank, scoring the whole time. So it's notable, and I still think he looked totally fine in the early parts of the match. I don't think it's a health thing. And Kennedy, you got to give a little bit of credit there too. Like he wrestled tough. He made things difficult for Starace, especially late. But just something to note. I don't know what it means, but I'm observing. I don't know if it's a trend, but 2 weeks in a row is not something we've seen from Carter, who is the consensus pound for pound #1 wrestler in America right now. And at 197, man, Zach Glazier is really, really tough. It was a one takedown match against Aaron Brooks, and the takedown he got, Brooks, was off of Glazier's shot, and it was a deep shot. He got in deep on his single leg. Of course, Brooks' defense is second to none, and, I say Carter's the pound for pound #1, but Aaron Brooks obviously has a great case for that as well. But Brooks was able to counter. He got the ankle and was able to get the takedown and an escape to make it a 4-1 final. But, Glazier was coming after him the whole time. He didn't relent. I thought, this would be probably a bonus territory win for Aaron Brooks, and Zach Glazier kept it close, and he didn't keep it close. You hear keep it close, and you think, all right, you were defensive, or you stalled, or you were evasive, but Glazier was going after him. He wrestled really tough. So you can't do anything but tip your cap to Zach Glazier. But Aaron Brooks is the standard of this weight class. What are we talking about here? And then Ben Keeter wrestled against Greg Kirkfleet. It was a dominant win for Greg against a true freshman, Ben Keeter, who weighed in at 229. Greg weighed in at 245, so a little size advantage, definitely a skill, strength, experience advantage for Greg Kirkfleet right now. And so that's it. That's the duel. It was an exciting one, and there's some more, tests for both of these teams. Iowa's going to take on Oklahoma State for their last duel. They have they have Wisconsin in between there, and at some point Penn State, I think next week, but I'm not entirely sure. They have Nebraska, which is going to be a great duel as well. So great one in the books, Penn State, Iowa. We'll see you next year. Can't wait already.